The scent reached me before the scream. I was rinsing dishes in the cramped kitchen of my parents' house, my hands trembling after hours of babysitting my niece while everyone else sat watching TV. My 7-year-old son, Jesse, had been playing quietly in the corner with his coloring book. He wasn't loud. He never was. He had learned that silence meant safety. Then the scream came. "Oh, Mom! Mommy! My eyes!" I dropped the plate. It shattered. I ran. He was on the floor near the hallway, curled into himself, his small hands pressed against his face, red liquid dripping through his fingers. "What happened, Jesse? Baby, look at me!" I cried, but he wouldn't, couldn't. Then she spoke, calm, flat, completely unbothered. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching this video from. "He looked at me too long, freaked me out," my sister Mara said with a shrug, holding up a glittery bottle of her luxury perfume. So I gave him a little lesson in boundaries. "What are you, insane?" I grabbed the bottle from her hand and threw it across the room. My whole body was shaking. Jesse was still screaming, his eyes clenched shut, his skin red and blotchy. I tried to wipe his face gently with a damp cloth when I heard it, laughter behind me. My mother, sitting on the couch with a bowl of chips in her lap, chuckled and said to my dad, "At least he smells better now." My father didn't even look up. Should have taught him not to stare. Boys like him always grow up pervy. I froze. I felt something twist and break inside me. I scooped Jesse into my arms and ran to the bathroom, locking the door behind me. I flushed his eyes over and over with lukewarm water. His screams turned to sobs, then to shudders, and finally to silence. Not peace, just surrender. He fell asleep curled in my lap on the bathroom floor. I stayed there the entire night. In the morning, they knocked. My sister first. "Mom says you're being dramatic again. He's fine." I didn't answer. Then my mother's voice, sharper. "You'd better come out now before you flood my damn floor with your tears. You always were the sensitive one. No wonder Mara turned out stronger." I opened the door. Jesse was pale and quiet. I packed his things. "You're not leaving," my mom snapped. "You've got rent due, and we feed you and that thing." "That thing is my son. He's a burden," she spat. I looked at my dad. He said nothing, just returned to his newspaper. We left anyway. I didn't have a car, so I walked Jesse 4 miles to the nearest urgent care. The nurse took one look at him and asked, what happened to his eyes? He was attacked. By who? Family. That was the first time I said it out loud. The doctor said it was chemical irritation. Luckily, there was no permanent damage, but he would need antibiotic eye drops for a week. I spent my last $28 on the prescription. That night, we slept on the floor of my coworker's garage. There was an old mattress in there that smelled like motor oil, but it was better than anything we had at home. Jesse whispered, "Is she coming back, the mean lady?" "No," I whispered. "She's gone." But I knew she wasn't. Not really. The next morning, I went back to work at the diner. I scrubbed dishes until my knuckles bled. I served coffee to people who didn't even look me in the eye. I smiled, I nodded. I worked as if I didn't carry rage in my chest like broken glass. Weeks passed. My parents didn't call. My sister posted pictures of her new makeup routine and labeled it her healing era. Jesse grew quieter, flinched at sudden movements, and refused to look anyone in the eye. And still, I worked. One night after closing, I stood alone in the back room staring at my phone. I was trying to decide whether to report them to the police, CPS, anyone. But a voice in my head whispered, "They'll cover for each other. They always have." And it was true. I had been the scapegoat for 26 years. But that night, as I watched Jesse sleep on that stained mattress in a stranger's garage, I made a decision. I wasn't going to run. I was going to rise. I didn't want justice. I wanted consequences, and I would build them myself. It began with silence. I didn't post about what had happened. I didn't confront them. I didn't even respond when Mara sent me a voice note a week later saying, "You need to teach that creepy little gremlin of yours not to be so weird. He's lucky I didn't use hairspray." I simply blocked her quietly. I blocked all of them. Then I worked. I worked double shifts at the diner, cleaned houses on the side, and took overnight babysitting jobs whenever I could. Jesse started drawing again. He drew superheroes. Most of them had one eye shut. When I saved enough money, I rented a tiny room above an auto shop. One window, one mattress, no privacy, but peace. Still, I wasn't finished. I started therapy for Jesse at a free clinic with group sessions. Slowly, he stopped jumping every time someone laughed. He began calling me Mama again, instead of only whispering when he needed something. As for me, I started taking courses. After finishing my shift at the diner, I would drop Jesse off at group care and walk to the local adult learning center. There, I studied child psychology, trauma response, and patterns of family abuse. I didn't know exactly where it would lead. I only knew I needed knowledge, because rage alone wasn't enough. I needed to understand precisely what they had done and how to dismantle it. One night, I was walking Jesse home from his session when he looked up at me and said, "You're like a superhero." I smiled. "I don't have powers, baby." "Yes, you do. You protect." I didn't cry then, but later that night I wrote a promise in a notebook. I will never let anyone laugh at his pain again. I will rebuild us from the ground up. Over the next 2 years, that's exactly what I did. I became certified as a trauma support aide. I began volunteering at the same clinic that had once helped Jesse. Eventually, I got a job as a program coordinator for abuse recovery in schools. I never contacted my parents, but they noticed me. Mara noticed first. She sent a message from a fake account. "Saw your little speech at that school thing. Cute. Guess being a victim is trendy now." I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, my father showed up at the diner. Yes, the same one. He sat in a booth in the corner and ordered coffee as if nothing had ever happened. "You're still working here? Thought you'd be crawling back by now." I walked over, refilled his cup, and said, "Nothing." "Your mother's birthday's coming up. You coming or not?" I looked him straight in the eye. "No." He laughed, still holding a grudge over that little cologne thing. "It was perfume. What's the difference?" "Ask your grandson," I said. He blinked. For a moment, I saw it, the flicker of shame, but he masked it with contempt. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," I said. "I know I am." I turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw him in public. But behind the scenes, my sister's social media started to crack. Screenshots of her old posts, comments mocking Jessie, videos of her making fun of disabled kids, even a few horrifying voice notes began circulating in parent groups. Not from me, not publicly, but quietly, carefully, shared by people I trusted. She lost one sponsorship deal, then another. Then her boyfriend left her after someone emailed him a certain video titled "She Deserved It," featuring her own voice describing what she had done to Jessie. She posted a tearful video, like, "People are so sensitive nowadays, like, grow up." But the comments flooded in. "Your nephew isn't sensitive, you're a monster." Imagine doing that to a child and laughing. The internet didn't forget. My parents didn't react at first, until the inheritance drama began. My grandmother, my dad's mother, had passed away 6 months earlier. We hadn't spoken in years, but she had found me before she died. Quietly, she told me, "You remind me of myself when I was young, strong, unwanted, unbreakable." She rewrote her will and left everything to Jesse. Not to me, to Jesse. The moment that will was read aloud, my mother choked on her drink and screamed, "What? To that little mute brat?" The lawyer looked up calmly and said, "That little mute brat now owns the house you live in." I didn't even attend the meeting, but they called me over and over. I let the phone ring until one day I finally answered. "Please," my mother's voice trembled, "we're being kicked out."
"You can't let them do this. Jesse doesn't even understand what a will is." "He understands cruelty," I said. "He lived with you." "We didn't mean it." "You laughed." "Please." I looked over at Jesse. He was coloring on the balcony, happy, whole. Then I hung up. I wasn't done yet. I didn't sleep the night before the hearing. Yes, there was a hearing. Not because I had pressed charges, I hadn't, but because my sister had filed a petition for custody of Jesse's inheritance. She claimed I was emotionally unstable, vindictive, and that I had manipulated the will of a senile old woman through guilt. She had the audacity to file a document accusing me of using my own son for financial gain. They thought my silence meant I was scared. They didn't understand. I was waiting. So I walked into that courtroom not alone, but with Jesse's therapist, a social worker, 2 teachers, and a volunteer coordinator who testified about how many hours I had worked at the trauma center. They didn't speak with rehearsed legalese. They spoke with emotion. Jesse came to us afraid of eye contact. He now speaks to other children. That is not by accident. His mother never asked for praise, the teacher said. She asked what else she could do. Every hour she wasn't working, the coordinator said, she was helping someone else's child. My sister sat there with her arms crossed, whispering furiously to my mother. My dad didn't show. When it was her turn to speak, she stood up, smiled at the judge, and said, "I just don't think someone who holds a grudge this long should be in charge of that much money. I mean, it's about Jesse, isn't it?" The judge blinked. "Ms. Donnelly," she said, "do you understand that this hearing is not about your personal feelings, but about the well-being of a child?" Mara's smirk faltered. She glanced at her lawyer, then at me. I didn't even look back. It wasn't about her anymore. When the gavel came down, the decision was final. The inheritance remained with Jesse. The estate was placed in a trust until he turned 18, with me as the sole administrator. Mara and my parents were issued a restraining order, citing past abuse, online harassment, and a clear pattern of emotional endangerment. The moment court adjourned, I walked past them. My mom lunged forward. "You evil little witch! How dare you do this to your own blood?" I didn't stop, but I did pause just long enough to turn my head and say, "You all made Jesse bleed. I'm just making sure no one does again." She froze, and that was the last time I saw her. In the years that followed, Jesse thrived. We moved into a small but sunny place outside town. He took piano lessons. He made friends. He began standing up straight. He even wrote a story once, a superhero tale. The villain was a woman who sprayed fire into children's eyes because they made her feel ugly. I asked him what happened to the villain at the end. "She wasn't defeated," he said. "Then what happened?" "She was forgotten." And that was it. The best revenge wasn't money, it wasn't exposure. It was living in a world where they no longer mattered, where Jesse got to be a child, where laughter didn't mean pain, where his mom didn't flinch every time a car door slammed, where silence wasn't fear, but peace. We never went back to the old house. We never tried to rebuild what had never truly existed. Instead, we built something new. And in that quiet, beautiful life, they became exactly what they deserved to be: nothing. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching this video from.